Because Ayana also Korean Muslim, Ayana maybe Ayana also know them, so maybe Ayana is also fake, and then she is just maybe pure Muslim only in front of camera. But actually, I'm more Islamic without camera.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Kindred Stories with me, Khairi Jamaluddin or KJ.
And me, Sharel Hamdan.
We've had two great episodes to start off the podcast, Kindred Stories. The first with Sunny Bill Williams and the second with Sensei Hakim and also Ibu Shanti. Great response from our viewers and listeners to the stories that we've brought to you so far. Sharel, what do you think the response has been to Kindred Stories?
I think it's been very encouraging, KJ.
Yeah.
I feel that people are beginning to understand what we're trying to do, which is to bring interesting stories from Muslim personalities, not just about their relationship to Islam, but what they do in their day-to-day life.
That's right. And on Spotify, Sharel, we trended at number 1 this week in Malaysia. Our original podcast, Keluar Sekejap, went down to number 3. So that's a good sign for Kindred Stories.
For Kinsto, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Today we are excited because we have a wonderful guest with us whom I'm sure will be able to share her story as somebody who embraced Islam, somebody who has spoken about her faith, has written about her faith and her journey, and somebody who has become a role model for many young Muslims as to how they live their lives as Muslims. We are happy and glad and honored to welcome Ayana Jihye Moon, entrepreneur, political activist, author, student, brand ambassador, and influencer to Kindred Stories. Assalamualaikum and annyeonghaseyo, Ayana.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Annyeonghaseyo.
Ayana, I was told before we start, annyeonghaseyo literally means be in peace.
Yes.
Wonderful. I mean, peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum. And annyeonghaseyo in Korean, which is standard greeting, hello, actually means be in peace.
Yes.
Yeah. How are you?
Fine, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So thank you very much for being on Kindred Stories. Ayana is your Muslim name.
My Muslim name.
Jihye is your
Korean name. My real name.
Your real name.
Yeah.
So we'll call you Ayana, I guess. Is that okay?
Can.
Yeah. Sharel, maybe you want to kick off the conversation?
Yes. Ayana, I have to admit, I didn't know much about your story until we decided to reach out. KJ decided to reach out to see whether you were interested to do this with us. Maybe to start off with, we like to ask our guests where they come from, right? Even before the fame, the fortune, the influencer life, which I'm sure will come to. What was your background? Where in Korea did you grow up, and how was your childhood like?
I was born and raised in Seoul, South Korea, and then I am from very ordinary family, and then I have parents, me and my younger brother, who just converted to Islam as well, following me. And then currently I'm studying in UIA Gomba. My major is political science. And as YWKJ mentioned, I'm doing quite many activities, including like modeling as a brand ambassador, and also business, and also writing, and also doing political research as well, and business and so on.
But winding back to the start, growing up in Seoul, that must have been what, in the late 90s, early 2000?
Late 90s.
Late 90s, growing up in Seoul. Then you were not yet Muslim.
Yes.
You were just ordinary Korean kid growing up. Tell us what that was like in the late 90s in Korea.
It's like, actually my life was very ordinary, but one different thing is my family is interested in politics, but like we usually talk about politics and also current affairs since I was young as well. So like actually the 9/11 and Iraq war happened. So like because of that thing, I start to know about Islam.
Wow.
Know about actually Iraq first. And at that time, I start to search about internet, search in the internet. So I just search Iraq like that.
Yeah.
And I found out that they are believe in Islam.
Sure.
And then like whenever my grandfather and then my parents talk about the Iraq, they say that, Islam is very weird religion. They cover their face, hair and everything. although they have very beautiful face, the Arabian ladies, they have very beautiful face. And then suddenly at a certain time they bow somewhere. I think it means maybe salat, but my parents of course didn't know it.
Right.
And then they say that they didn't eat babi. They didn't
Pork.
eat pork, but they don't eat pork. But like, in Korea, we love eating pork.
Sure.
So your first impression or first contact for Islam was a bit negative because of the stories. So how did that translate into embracing Islam?
Okay, so at that time I was only 7 years old. So like my grandfather said that Islam is the religion, the terrorist religion. The religion
Terrorist.
of terror. Yeah,
Okay,
religion
okay.
of terror.
If I can just jump in, Ayana, does that mean that the politics that they believed in, the political culture that your family believed in was it more conservative? What was the tradition?
No, I think like maybe the world in general, they think that Islam is the religion of terror, right? So like my grandfather also talked about that. So I searched about Iraq and then I found Islam. So like I found out that the population of Muslim is more than 1 billion.
Yes.
So I told my grandfather, yesterday I searched about Islam and I realized that there are more than 10 billion of Muslims in the world.
1 billion.
If
1
you
billion,
say,
yeah.
1 billion. But then you say that it's religion of the terror, religion of terror. But then I will agree if there are only 100 Muslim, 1,000 Muslim, 10,000 Muslim, 100,000 Muslim, and then they are terrorists. But I cannot trust that if 1 billion of people are terrorists.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to know more about Islam when I was 7 years old.
So that was a very logical argument against
yes,
what he said.
Yes.
Okay.
And then like and then every weekend my mom brought me to the bookstore and then she always let me buy some books that I want to read. And then I bought all the books about Islam and Middle East at that bookstore.
What did she say?
And then like she just like, okay, whatever. Because usually I read another type of like a current affair issue. So like whatever she can explore. So like I just read and then I read and then I watched most of documentaries about Islam and Middle East when I was young. And then I even sent the email to the professor. I'm from this elementary school. I read your book. And then this is something that I want to ask more. And then like I kept on just studying about Islam and Middle Eastern culture because it was so fascinating. Because our country is heavily influenced by Western culture and also especially US, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's wrong. But like I just realized that there is the different type of word in this word. So like when I was in high school, I just realized that, okay, I have to anyway choose the university that I want to go. But I just wonder, what actually can I study more about this field? And then I just want to know what kind of jobs I can get from this field. So I try to join some like an event about Middle East and also Arab. I search and then I send the letter and then they allow me to come. And then that conference is quite big about Middle East. Even the ministers from Korea and Arab countries also came. And then I went there with my school uniform. And then like all the people there asked me, oh, you are a high school student. Why are you here? And then your father is speaker and then I answered that, no, I'm very interested in this thing. So that's why I just wonder what kind of things actually Korea does with the Middle Eastern country and also Arab countries. But like, I just want to know more. That's why I came here. And then maybe they felt that, this girl is very cute. So even they introduced me to one very old man and he was actually the former ambassador of Saudi. And then like he also brought me to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And then just suddenly, I don't know who he is. I'm like, but suddenly he asked me to just greet to the minister. And then he said the minister that she is just a student from somewhere. And then I just like her spirit. That's why I just want to introduce her to you. Right. And then and then the minister let me sit just behind him. I was just a student and I was there. And then after that, I went to many type of events like that. And then I realized, okay, there are many diplomats, professors, politicians, and students, undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctorate. I realized that, okay, all of people also can be my competitor in the future, right? But I want to be the top. I wanted to be the polyfessor, politician plus professor.
Wow.
How can I win over all of them at once? How can my knowledge can be deeper than them? I convert.
Right.
Yeah, so that because what I realized when I was in middle and high school, all the things in Middle Eastern country and Arab countries came from Islam. the law, economy, culture, everything, even the religion itself. And then like I found out that even like there were many type of like protests, kind of Arab Spring. But then actually even the US realized that it's really hard to control those Muslims because they are already brainwashed by Islam.
Right.
I'm like using their word.
So Ayana, is it fair for me to say that your path to conversion or to embracing Islam came first because of your interest in politics and in those current issues in the Islamic world, and maybe the iman of it came later? I'm trying to understand
if I can tag on,
there. Yeah.
if I can tag on KJ's question, Ayana, you mentioned just now you grew up as an ordinary person, but nothing about your story, even your early years, is ordinary. I don't think
elementary school student will go to a conference.
Go to a conference, whether Muslim or not Muslim. I think that was something. What drove you? Was this passion for justice? Was it curiosity about learning about the world? What was it that drove you to be so inquisitive
About Islam.
about Islam? And
No, because like at that time, because as I mentioned, since I was young, I was already interested in Islam, right? I mean like the culture and whatever.
Right.
But I really didn't think that I would convert because my parents are very strong atheists.
Yeah.
Or they don't believe in God, even now. So like at the time, I just thought that, oh, that is just something that I want to study in the future. But then, of course, to understand about Middle Eastern country, I had to understand about Islam. So like
Right.
I also read quite many things about Islam as well.
Okay.
Oh, and then like I saw that like the religion doesn't have any problem. I think maybe the problem is the people.
Right.
That's what I saw. And then I was already interested in Islam as well. I'm like, it's not easy to just convert because, you know, it means that you will lose everything you have in Korea. Being a Muslim.
yeah,
Tell us about
about
that. So what was so you said your parents are still atheists.
Yes.
The moment you told them, that you had done the shahada, that you had embraced Islam, what was the reaction?
Actually, like it was very dry because like in Korea, religion is not important, you know. So I mean, like all of the politicians in Korea, they have three religions: Buddhism, Catholic, and Protestant. You know, like I know that they are Buddhist, but like to get the vote, suddenly they go to church and then they pray. Suddenly they go to like the Catholic church and then like they got something from the priest. You know, that is actually quite common.
Right.
And then my mom and my dad saw that. Well, maybe like
maybe it's a phase.
Yeah, I'm like, and then they didn't understand about shahada. I'm like, I just say, kan, I believe something. I shahada, but my parents just thought that she just read.
Right.
It's not like you know, everyone can do that.
Okay.
In Korea, they thought that, but they were really shocked when I really decided to leave Korea.
Okay.
But then I already prepared everything. I bought flight ticket. I already did so many part-time jobs, and then I had my own saving, and then I just informed them I will leave next week.
And what was their reaction?
And how's your relationship with them now?
Good. The relationship is good. Why? Because now I'm earning money. I give them pocket money, right? So like everything is fine.
But at first,
But at first, like they were really shocked because I was really good student. Still, I'm very good student. I was really good student. I already passed one of the most prestigious university in South Korea as well. And then good looking. So my parents thought that I could be the politician easily. They thought that like, oh, my daughter has no problem. She has been so nice. And then like everything was just perfect as a student. I'm like, all of my teachers always praise about me. And then my parents didn't have any issue with me at all. But then suddenly I said that I will leave Korea. And then my mom was just shocked. And then my father said that he is a bit racist. Where he said that at first I want to go to Cairo, but I could not because of the Arab Spring. So I chose Malaysia. And then my father said that, Ayana, Malaysia is the country that you cannot learn from, but you have to teach.
oh,
But like, I don't care a lot because this is my life, whatever. I said, okay. And then I just leave.
so Ayana, just now when you mentioned, it was very interesting when you mentioned that when you told your parents about the shahada, they sort of didn't take it seriously because that's just reading
Yes,
something.
yes.
So anybody can read anything. But when you put on the hijab, that's something a bit more to them, obviously.
course.
Because obviously for Muslims, Shahada is the most fundamental thing. But
Yes.
for non-Muslims, maybe they see that physical manifestation of covering yourself as something a bit more surprising to them. Now, what was that? Did you wear the hijab before you left Korea?
At that time, I didn't.
Okay.
But when I just came to Malaysia, the first friends that I had, they are still very good Muslim. So they already wear hijab, and then I thought that is one of the way to respect their culture.
I see.
And like it's not only about Islam, but also about Malaysian culture itself. So that's why I start to wear. But then like maybe my parents already thought that I'm crazy. My daughter is totally crazy now. Suddenly, like she is even wearing hijab, or she's totally forgetting that she's Korean and so on.
Yeah.
But now that the relationship is good, how did you bridge that?
No, I mean like actually our relationship at first they were not happy, still not happy with my religion somehow. But then it's different that they don't like my religion, but it doesn't mean that they don't like me.
Sure.
They still
their
like me.
daughter,
That's why they are okay. And then they know that my daughter, I cannot control her anymore. So maybe
So they've
they
come to
already,
accept it, respect it.
more to they give up me.
They've
Sorry,
just
They already gave up.
Gave up.
Yeah, they already gave up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my daughter, I cannot
they've
control.
accepted,
Bye.
as in,
I suppose the term come to terms with it. I suppose.
Yeah. They seriously gave up.
Right.
And then they really don't care about my life at all.
But I saw the video about 2 years ago of you taking your mother to the Central Mosque in Seoul.
Yes.
She was okay with it.
Yeah, like she is okay. At least I don't force her to convert.
Yeah.
She's
course, yeah.
okay. And then because she thinks that this is already the part of my life.
Right.
So maybe she start to accept.
And have they come here to Malaysia?
Yes.
Did they like it?
Yes.
Did your father learn anything here?
My father didn't. My mom only.
your mom.
Yeah, my mom only.
Okay. Great. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll
We'll
take a quick break and we'll come back right after this. Welcome back to Kindred Stories with me, KJ Sharel Hamdan, and our guest today, Ayana Jihye Moon from Korea. Ayana's written a book about her journey to Islam. I have the copy that is written in Bahasa Indonesia. Sharel is
Bahasa
holding the
Melayu.
copy in Bahasa Melayu. Is it available in other languages also?
Oh no, only both
Only these two languages.
Okay, we look forward to perhaps an English translation
Inshallah.
and maybe one day a Korean translation
Inshallah.
on this. Ayana, just to continue our conversation, which I found extremely fascinating, your first impression of Islam was of Middle Eastern countries.
Yes.
I heard you speak just now about the Iraq War, about 9/11, about meeting people from Egypt, and even you admitted that your first destination of choice was
Yes.
Cairo.
Yes.
But you ended up in Southeast Asia.
Yes.
So tell us what your thoughts are, because obviously Islam is a religion of many, many tribes and cultures. And the Quran tells us to get to know one another, lita'arafu. But we also celebrate the fact that we have different tribes and cultures belonging to different countries. When you came to Malaysia, and now that you are also active in Indonesia, Southeast Asia, now is your perspective of Islam as how you see it here different from what you imagined it to be when you were younger, of that Middle Eastern Muslim society?
Actually, very different. I sometimes feel that here is sometimes lebih Islami dari negara Islam.
More
Negara
Islamic.
Arab, negara Islam. Yeah. Negara Arab, like all people, they always watch, Ayana, you don't wear inner hijab. Ayana, I can see your feet and so on. But like if you really go to like Arab, they don't wear inner hijab, and then they are more somehow revert on their like attire something.
Okay.
But I also like how Malaysia and Indonesia find Islam by their own. I mean, like they sometimes don't really rely on the Saudis' idea, but then they have their own idea as well. And then like they really study deeply. And then like especially Malaysia, I see that Malaysia can be the heart of Islamic world as well, because Malaysia is I think, almost only country that while going through all the industrialization, but they still keep in Islam. Most of country actually they change the country's color and so on. But Malaysia is now the halal hub. So I really love how they actually keep this religion in their own way.
Yeah, maybe just to take on or expand upon this line of conversation, how you find Islam in Southeast Asia. I think you touched on a very interesting point about the religiosity and how it's maybe in some ways a bit more religious or a bit more strict. Do you find that to be harder or easier to deal with as a convert, as a revert? When they start, saying, your inner hijab is not there. Or, do you find that easier or more difficult in any way?
Well, I think it depends, because for me, although people say so, maybe I would convert again. It really depends on who. If for me, it doesn't matter. But for some people, maybe it can be quite stressful.
Okay.
It really depends on who.
Yeah.
But for me, I even like that kind of comment as well.
Do you speak back to them? Do you give your point of view? Do you just
I ignore.
Smile and walk away? Yeah.
I just...
I wanted to also... maybe another topic adjacent is your identity as a woman.
Yeah.
Right? There's lots of interpretation, and people speak about the relationship in Islam between a man and a woman and the place of a woman.
Yes.
Obviously, as somebody who reverted from a Korean culture to Islam, who embraced Islam, you would have seen the difference, right? How do you manage that as a woman being Muslim out of choice?
But for me, because in Korea, there are also some certain some type of sexual crimes currently. But then even people say that, what if we really just separate the place for men and women? They even say so. So I know that kind of situation at first when I just convert, it sometimes make me a bit uncomfortable. But then once I study more about Islam, and then I study about another knowledge as well. For me, that's not a matter that I have to be very sensitive. It's something that I just can understand, and also I just can try to find some positive things even in that kind of situation.
Do you find that as I can see that you're a very busy person. You're an entrepreneur. You have a lot of businesses going on. You're studying. You don't feel at any way, I suppose, constrained, limited because you're a Muslim woman.
Well, I think
because I asked this, I know the answer to this, but I asked this because the impression amongst some people in the West, maybe in the Korean country, is that, in Islam, the women have their place. They cannot do this, they cannot do that, they cannot do this. But I see you as a very active person. You're living your own life. You have businesses and all that. I think it's very important for us to get the message out there that Islam does not put the woman in a place where she cannot flourish.
But for me, I have so many minority elements. I'm a woman, young, and Muslim, hijabi, and even here I'm foreigner. But those kind of the elements actually make my story more dramatic. And then I really can tackle the society, in Korea, most of people may think that Muslims are uneducated, smelly, poor, whatever. So I want to be very annoying example that Muslim people can use. But see, Ayanas, she's okay, and so on. That's actually one of the goal.
Right.
So I just enjoy. Sometimes it's hard, and then honestly, sometimes it's really hard as a woman. But I always think that if it were really easy, these kind of opportunities would never have come to me.
Right.
So I want to show that how I can really tackle it, all the minority elements.
Maybe Ayana, I want to move to the faith part of it, the iman part of it. We've heard your tremendous story about leaving Korea, leaving your parents, coming to a new country, learning about new culture and all that. Tell us how, as somebody who embraced Islam late, not born a Muslim, how you strengthen your iman.
For me, I found out that Islam is really compatible with myself because I love studying. And then Islam really stress on the akal, intellect. So like I love it. I'm like I think I don't know whether it can be the answer for other people, but then like what I want to say is whenever I try to dig more about the knowledge about Islam, actually it really also affect on my iman as well. And then like I want somehow other Korean people also can be inspired by this thing, because Islam is not only about just iman, and like it's not only about salat or something, but we explore other things as well. And also Islam is very flexible religion as well. So like maybe that kind of thing can inspire other people.
Tell us maybe one example about something in the religion other than iman. You spoke about things
Akal.
other than iman, akal. Other than that has made you a better person, perhaps. So, for instance, I think maybe I'll give an example where it's not just the iman, but it's also amal jariyah, but doing something, giving something to society. That resonates a lot with me, somebody who's been in politics, in public service. So I view politics as not...
Are you in politics now?
No. I'm on leave. So I don't view politics as something as the acquisition of power, but rather something of service and to mankind and to the ummah.
I think like that kind of like zakat, sadaqah, that kind of idea about charity. There's something that I love the most because I own my scholarship program as well. It also can relate to my story because my parents didn't support me. They cut my pocket money, but at that time I used their credit card. So when they cut the pocket money, I only have 10 ringgit in my bank book.
They cut your money because you left and you became Muslim.
I say that I will leave here. But then maybe my parents thought that, Jihye never experienced the poverty, so maybe she will be back because of money. But then since that moment, I start to do lots of part-time job. I became the tutor, I became the waitress at restaurant. I did part-time job 7 days a week. And then I got just certain amount of saving. And then I moved to Malaysia. I entered UAE, and then I realized that although I got the scholarship, my saving is not enough for living here for 4 years. So that I stopped my study. I had to stop my study. I had to write a letter. I will leave the uni because of that is my issue and so on. And then I went back to my mahalla, my dormitory. And then at the time I determined that if I could back to this uni with better financial status, then I will have the ladies in the same situation with me. And then alhamdulillah, in 2 years, I became very stable financially. And then now I'm even helping the students in the same situation.
So you give some scholarships,
yes.
So assistance to ladies who want to study.
Yes. And then I'm gonna expand it to Indonesia this Ramadan, inshallah.
Wonderful.
That's great. That's great to hear. Ayana, you're clearly a very driven person, very self-confident person. And I think there's a lot of people, there's a lot that people can learn from you. But one part of the story that we haven't spoken about, but you've touched on, is this how you moved from being dependent on your parents to doing part-time jobs and now being quite well off that you can actually help other people. So maybe let's talk about that. How did you enter the influencer world, the ambassador world, the modeling world? How did that begin, and how has that helped you in your journey to become a better Muslim?
Okay, so like once I stopped my study and then decide to leave my uni, I had to earn money. Obviously, I didn't have money, right? But then there were 2 options at the time. One, being a part-timer at Giant. Another one
Giant is so to our international listeners, Giant is a supermarket, I guess.
Supermarket. One is being a part-timer at supermarket, and the other one is being a model. If you work at the supermarket, you can get maybe 3 or 4 ringgit per hour.
KJ has done both. He's worked in a McDonald's and he's become a model.
I see.
I've delivered food and also become a model. Yeah, anyway.
But then the other one is being a model. Yeah. But like 3 or 4 ringgit per hour, but model even in 2017 you already could get 200 ringgit per hour. I had to be a model then, but like I didn't have any experience, so I thought, what is my business model? I mean, like see me as a product. What is my business model? What is my strengths? I found the three things. The first one, at the time, Malaysian people start to watch like a K-drama,
Korean
like Running
drama.
Man,
Yeah.
something like that. So they start to like the K culture. And then I'm Korean. And then second one, Malaysian people think that, I mean, like I heard that Malaysian people think that most of Korean ladies got plastic surgery. And then, if plastic surgery is haram. So if you got plastic surgery, actually there is a barrier to be a Muslim model as well,
Right.
because some brand maybe do not prefer. But I haven't. This is mine.
Natural.
Natural. And then the last one is I realized that Malaysian people like white skin, and I'm fair.
That's
Okay.
not, that's not
all
necessarily true.
But actually they prefer,
Some people. That's a different topic.
Lots
we
of
should
people
talk about one day.
So anyway, so those three things were my strengths. So I got some modeling job, and then alhamdulillah I could be quite stable, and then I could get like maybe some offer as well at the time. So like but at the time there were like some issue in Malaysia, so that I was thinking to maybe leave Malaysia or somehow back to Korea and so on. But I just traveled to Indonesia. And the one TV show asked me to just appear on TV show so that maybe you can earn pocket money for your traveling. I just joined. It became so viral. And then I got many jobs from Indonesia. So why not? Then I just
If
stay
you
here.
can share what was the issue in Malaysia that made you move, or is that something
That is a bit sensitive.
Okay,
That
no
is
worries,
a bit
but
sensitive.
okay. And I wanted to ask, being a Muslim influencer, ambassador, model, obviously modesty is an important component of Islam, not just for women,
Yes.
also even for men. How do you balance that? Make sure that you don't cross a line.
Like for me, what you are seeing now is actually the real me. So I don't need to lie about my personality, my face, my life. So that's why for me it's quite easy. So like even you realize that I talk a lot about politics on my social media. Even
Yeah.
Malay politics, Indonesian politics, Korean politics. I don't care whatever people think because that is my life. If you don't like, then just don't like. If you like, then like. But what I can say is sometimes some standard is too harsh on especially the women. But then like what I can say is, but I don't do any criminal issue, And then my life is very sound. I always just study, help people, work, doing business. But I just only talk about politics. So like that's it. I mean like I don't lie. That's why it's easy to balance.
Ayana, maybe I just take Sharel's question a bit further and ask you something a little bit more spicy about modesty. So you've created a name for yourself especially in this part of the world as this somebody who embraced Islam, role model, an influencer, someone that many people look up to. And then there was this issue when you went back to Korea. Because so for our listeners and our viewers, the issue was that when Ayana went back, she took off her hijab. So everyone was like, "Oh my God, why did you do that?" So maybe explain a little bit what happened there when you took off your hijab when you went back to Korea. Was it because it's difficult for somebody with a hijab to be in Korea in that environment?
Well, for me, like somehow I'm not really into this culture somehow, but
Which culture?
like Malaysian and Indonesian culture.
Yeah.
But then like, of course, I always try to wear hijab. They want like, at the time, I also talk about that. Actually, I usually wear hijab. I can show all the picture with the date and then like, I actually can prove it. But then like, still, I don't think that is the measurement of my face. But then I also try to wear, but you also have to think that in Korea, there is no hijab. You really cannot find Korean hijab in Nol. But then you also have to think of my friends and parents. If I go there with this kind of attire or people stare at me, we can be attacked by people as well. And that of course is very hard. But like since I was young, we also have the culture of covering. So like usually the parents, they just let they never let their daughter and son wear very like a short baju, short clothes, revealing and so on. We also have that kind of culture. So like although when I haven't converted yet at the time, I already did not really wear the like a short skirt or like a short t-shirts as well. So like even though you see those pictures, you can see that I try to cover my another part of my body, but somehow hijab can be quite harsh for women as well, especially you want to do another activity, not only just studying, but you also want to be in politics, want to be in business. Somehow it's hard. But like I always think that one day I want to change the society, but then now sadly I'm also in the process.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the story. That none of us are perfect, and we're all in our own on our own journey. But if I can tag along what KJ asked, because I think to continue being a bit spicy, Ayana, those who are cynical, those who are a bit cynical about you or about people like you, will say, "Oh, she's Korean. She came to Malaysia. She went to Indonesia because the Indonesian and Southeast Asian market is huge." And she is profiting from the fact that there are so many Muslims in Malaysia and Indonesia who like seeing a Korean convert, a Korean revert. But actually when she goes back to Korea, she goes back to her old ways, right? So I guess that's the cynicism that you will have to deal with. How do you respond to that criticism that you're just doing this for your career?
But I want to correct it, because the reason why people start to think is because Ayana became successful in the industry. And then after I became quite stable in this industry, suddenly people start to convert. I don't dub in their face. Suddenly people start to convert and then being like Muslim influencer, halal influencer. But then some people, few or one, made some criminal issue. And then people start to talk about, this guy, this person, being very nice Muslim in front of camera, but realize that he eat pork, and then he clubbing, and then he even hit wife, he tried to rape women and so on. And then people start to talk, and then they put that story into my life. But what I want to say is, I was quite a smart student, but I could not imagine that I could be successful in this way. I'm like, as a Muslim, I just share my daily life. I never lie. My life is all true on even on social media. But then maybe at first people understood, all those influencer came out before. But then people already knew that I sometimes didn't wear hijab in Korea, because whenever I was on conference, I always talk like that. I could not wear 100% hijab in Korea because of this issue and that issue. Yeah. And then I even talk with the ustaz as well about this issue. And then they say that you also have to think how your parents think. That is not haram. And that is not haram. Or you take off hijab because you want to prevent the kind of argument and also being a bad relationship with the parent. That is not a problem at all. And then of course, whatever I do, I always get the consultation from the right person as well. But then still, I'm the one who try to be better Muslim even in Korea as well. But then now the problem is so many influences came out, and then people start not to separate each of us. If Sharel makes mistake, suddenly people blame on KJ as well.
Yeah, that's happened before.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Vice versa.
Yeah,
Usually the other way.
Yeah, but that kind of thing happened. But I even haven't met them. But they just saw that because of Ayana also Korean Muslim. Ayana Ayana also know them. So maybe Ayana is also fake. And then she is just maybe pure Muslim only in front of camera. But actually, I'm more Islamic without camera.
Your story is, and you're saying your story is out there anyway. You're not hiding anything.
Yes.
And I think, KJ, we are completely cognizant that we have to be careful. We're not two men trying to decide
I
how
think
you
just
should.
to clarify, I don't think that Sharel is doubting your faith or was doubting your faith. I think he was
especially
just trying
not
to,
based on whether you wear hijab or not.
100%. I think we all have our challenges in trying to be a better Muslim. But I think the question came from the fact that perhaps there were some concerns based on other examples where this projection of faith and becoming an influencer was used in a way that was not consistent with somebody's faith. But I think Ayana's answered it very well, saying that, her life is an open book, literally a book. And it's difficult to hide it and fake it, right?
Yes, and also, I want to add one thing, that because people think that, but that's true that I also earn money from this job. I'm like as a brand ambassador, Muslim model, hijabi model. But what I want to make sure is, if I didn't convert, somehow my life was better because my parents already had their own business. My life was very, very stable in South Korea.
Sure.
But then I'm the one who gave up all the things. I knew that I will lose everything. But then I just determined that maybe I will change this society, but maybe it takes time. So that's why I just came here. So like I just want to make sure that it's not for seeking money.
Great. Thank you, Ayana. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back to talk a bit more about Islam in Korea after
Okay.
this. Welcome back to Kindred Stories with me, KJ, and Sharel Hamdan. We're joined today by Ayana Jihye Moon from Korea. Of course, Kindred Stories is a podcast that seeks knowledge and sows kindness in sharing Muslim stories or stories by Muslims from around the world, having conversations. Ayana, coming back to Korea, let's talk about Korea. And I know that you are very, very much interested in politics. You've been a political activist. You've helped and campaigned for certain political candidates. We won't go so much into the politics of it, but I wanted to talk about Korean society and their acceptance towards Islam and their view towards Muslims. And this is related to what Sharel mentioned and Sharel's question before the break. Before that, I wanted to explain to our audience, especially those perhaps not from Southeast Asia, not from Asia, that Korean influence and Korean culture has been big in this part of the world, in Southeast Asia. Actually, for that matter, throughout the world. There was a Korean movie that won at the Academy Awards, Parasite. BTS has performed in the United States, has a strong following, BTS Army, Blackpink, Korean dramas on Netflix. Gyeongseong Creature was my favorite last year. I know Ayana doesn't watch K-drama. Many people say that I look like Park Seo-joon. I'm not sure, but she just laughed at me. But anyway, so Korea has this outsized influence on the rest of the world through their cultural exports. This has created a lot of interest in Korea over the last few years. The amount of people going to Korea has increased. And the amount of inbound Muslim tourists into Seoul and into other parts of Korea, Jeju Island. Jeju Island is, of course, very, very famous, has also increased tremendously, Ayana. And that has resulted in Korean businesses obviously pivoting towards the Muslim market.
Yes.
So now halal restaurants, now the Korean tourism ministry promotes Korea to Indonesia, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, Middle East to get more people to go to Korea. So obviously that part of the commercial part of it, Korea loves. Korea loves the commercial part of the Muslim market. It's a big market. We spend a lot of money there and all of that. And we consume your culture and your artistic exports. But we also know that the relationship between Korea and Islam is a bit more different in Korea itself.
Yes.
You know, Koreans, you have a certain view of Islam, what we started our conversation with just now. You like the Muslim market, but you're not crazy about Islam. Is that right?
I think, well, maybe I have to defend my country first. Because like what I think is we are not really familiar with Islam yet. But then suddenly our culture became very famous. And then we are start to love by many. And then suddenly people want to come. But of course, like we are not really ready about that. And also somehow most of Korean people, they are not in the tourism industry. So they may think that why should we understand about Islam? They are the ones who love our culture, not we are the one who love their culture. So somehow it also can affect. And maybe, and also there are many quite negative stereotype about Islam itself as well, about the religion, like my grandfather and my parents in Korea in general. That's why maybe they have a bit negative idea about Islam.
What is the history of that prejudice against Islam? Is it because Koreans tend to consume the Western narrative? Is that mainly the reason?
I think that is quite big reason because like US is our ally, right? Our only ally. We have only one ally, which is US. And then since we saw like 911 and also another kind of terrorism and also terrorist movement, especially from Islamic country and also Muslim side, that one we cannot deny actually. Anyway, they say that they are Muslim, so so that's why it can affect on Koreans' idea, and also at the same time, maybe like some politicians who also study in US and also UK, especially there is like one politician, female politician. I like her, but anyway, she is very devoted Christian, and then she studied in UK, and then she realized, and then she was the witness that how the Muslim population grows so fast in UK, and then she saw that it was kind of crisis. It's not like something positive but negative. How they actually stick with their culture even in UK, so that once those kind of scholar and politician came back to Korea, they talk about that, and also of course like another maybe religious group also talk about that, so that it could affect on maybe Korean people's idea in general.
But that's interesting, KJ and Ayana, because I think prejudices like this, they can stem not from direct contact or experience with that culture you are prejudicing against, but basically importing other people's relationships in their own country. And it seems to be the case in Korea.
Sometimes direct. Why? Because the prejudice, the common prejudice about Islam in Korea is people are lowly educated, harsh, poor. But most of Muslims in South Korea are laborers. And they are from undeveloped countries.
So Turkey maybe?
Not Turkey, more like Arab country, but like not like of course Saudi or UAE, but like a more undeveloped country as well. And when they came,
economic migrants.
Yeah, and also like maybe I cannot mention the countries, but anyway, like another southeastern countries as well.
Right.
And then they came, but of course they are the laborers, so they are not highly educated, and then they also made some mistake and also criminal actions as well in Korea, because maybe some are the things that we cannot really accept, and then those people can be the example of the Muslim in general in Korean society.
So now that you've spoken on behalf of your country, maybe now we can ask you to speak on behalf of your religion. You have this wonderful position now, Ayana, of somebody who has made a name for herself here. You're very popular. You have almost 4 million followers on Instagram. You've just launched your TikTok channel. And I believe that's going to grow as well. What is there anything that you would like to do to try to address that view of Islam and Muslims in Korea that you described of? Because I correct me if I'm wrong, Ayana. I think prejudice and bias and some form of Islamophobia exists in many other parts of the world. It's something that they are discussing heavily in the UK right now. But there are examples, and this is not all Koreans, of course, just like we can't stereotype any other country or any other culture. But in Korea, there have been very, very visible protests against Islam. So on one hand, you accept a lot of Muslim tourists to come in, you have halal restaurants, but I was reading that they were trying to build a mosque in Daegu. There was a lot of demonstration. They even put a pig head in front of the mosque. There was an attempt to also build a halal industrial zone in Iksan, and that was cancelled. They tried to put a prayer room during the Winter Olympics, and there was also complaints against that. How can you also play a role in trying to tell your fellow Koreans, look, this is not the right view of Islam?
But for me, rather than saying to the general Korean, I also say something to our ummah in Korea. We have to improve ourselves as well. I'm like, Islam already entered in Korea since before. And then like, even there is the Korean Muslim Federation, KMF, but I sometimes wonder what actually they did for the ummah as well. Have they ever talked about the right for the Muslim women to wear hijab? Never. And they usually interview with all the medias, but they always avoid the very specific, sensitive issues.
Right.
But then, and also we have to see how many true Muslims in Korea want to study like me. Null, almost null. We have to really rely on the people outside, like Catholic professors who like Islam, like a Christian professor who like Islam. So we usually rely on them, but we don't have our own intellect in our own ummah as well. So that I think that is also tricky. For example, if we don't have that educated Muslims, then we really don't know how to communicate with those residents in Daegu. I'm like now like the people who talk with the Daegu people are usually the foreigners. They are students or just laborers and just another maybe activists from just like a small union, something like that. So I think that also can make the situation worse. But in this situation, of course, I feel so sad. I mean, what kind of people they put the pig head in front of the mosque? I know, totally they want to, insert our religion, and also the people. I know their purpose and also their intention as well. But the sad fact is whether we really can protect ourselves or not. That one is also something that
you
we
mean
have to
Korean
think.
Muslims?
Yeah, I mean Korean Muslim or Muslims living in Korea as well, both. I mean what we have to think is Korea is not only fighting, Korean people in general, not only fighting with Islam, also fight with Christian as well. Also fight with Buddhists as well. Because most of people, more than 50% of people in South Korea, they are atheists.
Atheists.
Yeah, and then they are quite negative about religion. They wonder why we have to believe in religion, not only about Islam. But suddenly, we have some certain amount of Muslim population due to work and also study. But then suddenly they want to build a mosque. But then for them, maybe they have some kind of stereotype about the mosque itself. Because if we build mosque, all the Muslims come to that mosque. But then somehow people actually don't want that kind of, very alien, foreign movement in my home. We also have to think, and then it somehow takes time. However, I also really disagree with their very uneducated action that put the pig head and also raised the very weird protest in front of the masjid and so on, because I heard that the masjid is already got the permission from the district.
Ayana, my view has always been that there's a certain amount of integration that Muslims, especially Muslim migrants, ought to have in the country that they then settle in. But to an extent, beyond which they shouldn't, they shouldn't compromise on their beliefs, on their culture. But there needs to be a commitment to be part of, in your case, the Korean society. Do you feel that when you say, the Muslims in Korea need to do better, need to be, make better examples of the religion or of themselves, is that one of your issue? Do you feel that they don't fully integrate with the society enough?
I mean Muslim. I also think so. Because that one is maybe from the Korean view, but to us because all of people think that Islam is foreign religion. And then they do not really understand about Islam as well. And then most of Muslim people, their beard and then their attire and everything, for them is too alien. So I think maybe they needed more time to understand about that. And then what I want to mention is Daegu is especially the conservative area.
I see.
Yeah, very conservative area. All the PPP people get vote from those part. And then
for those who don't follow Korean politics, PPP is one of the two major parties in Korea. Democratic Party, PPP is the other one, and PPP is on the right wing, a sort of conservative party.
Like UMNO.
That's right.
Like UMNO.
Like UMNO. Wow, touche. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Please carry on. So Daegu is PPP. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe the kind of, and also another thing is, I also had hope that what if our society can be more open to our religion, but then I think there are so many things that we have to deal with first. It's not that easy that we already got the permission, so we want to build a mosque. Of course, I 100% agree with their idea because I'm a Muslim as well. I want more mosque. But then if from Korean side, somehow it's just uncomfortable, and also protesting is also our right.
And there's this very, very interesting observation in the Muslim ummah, in Muslim countries, about religion and culture. They're two different things. So one can be Muslim and Korean at the same time. One can be Muslim and Malaysian at the same time. One can be Muslim and an Arab at the same time. And for you to be able to express your culture within Islam, I find that very fascinating. So one thing that I always look out when I go to different countries where there are Muslims is what their mosque looks like. So many times the mosque looks very standard, sort of Arabic looking, Ottoman looking. And even in Malaysia, a lot of the mosque architecture is very much influenced by the Middle East. But you do find some mosques which are inspired and influenced by Nusantara architecture. And sometimes it maybe in a country in Korea, when you build a new mosque, you should build a new mosque with Korean architecture so that people, when they look at it, they don't see something completely alien. What do you think of that? What do you think of adapting? Not compromising. You don't compromise your faith. You don't compromise your akidah, but you make it familiar to the culture where you are living in.
The problem is not the building, but the people.
Yeah, but maybe those things.
But we cannot change their face. We cannot ask them to get plastic surgery. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean the Muslims?
I mean the people.
But you look very much like other Koreans.
I know that part. So my friends always say that.
So what I'm trying to say is that yes, right now what Koreans see when they think of Islam is a mosque that they associate with Saudi Arabia, perhaps. When they see a Muslim, they see an economic migrant from the Middle East with a beard and all that. But what if they see, when they think of Islam, they see a mosque that looks a bit more like the Korean architecture, and they see Jihye. Okay. I'm not trying to say that we should hide other aspects of Islam. I'm trying to say that when, as Sharel said, when integration goes both ways, it's as much as the people who are in the host country trying to integrate, but also trying to make it familiar for the host country so that the host country is able to accept.
I think that's actually good idea. But then the most important thing is we still need time, because like Korean people, we are homogeneous society.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, one race.
That's
and
true.
then so that for us we need more time to actually open for another religion and then different type of people as well.
Yeah.
And also now another one social issue is Korean people, they don't realize yet that there are so many foreigners in our country. But actually there are so many foreigners. But like they really don't know about that. So like we still need time to educate them how we really can mingle with another type of people from different world. But like now, especially Daegu is very, very conservative area.
Right.
But then they are trying to build a mosque there. So I think like that's the reason why the conflict has erupted in that location.
It seems to me like,
I mean, just slight aside on that point. Were you aware that Lisa from Blackpink is Thai?
I don't know Lisa or Blackpink.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that.
I was on a serious point, just to wrap up maybe this part of the conversation. I guess it seems to me from your explanation, what Korea needs is time to deal with multiculturalism first, right? Not just about Islam per se, but just different cultures, as you said.
Time and also the figure who can change their stereotype.
Sure. And maybe to that point, tagging on what KJ said about familiarity, and perhaps there is some expectation or hope that, figures like yourself who are Korean, indigenous Korean, who've then reverted to Islam, that you can be one of the figureheads for that familiarity and that bridge between Korea in the past, so it's homogeneous, and Korea in the future, which necessarily has to be multiculturalist and also multi-religious. Do you have that aspiration, or you think that's putting the expectation on you is a bit too much?
I want to be, and then that is my largest goal that I have. Because what I want is now the expectation on Muslim is too low in our society. So I want to raise the expectation, and then I want to break the glass ceiling as well.
Great.
So for not actually for myself, for another Ayana, I don't think that all of Korean Muslims can be really inspired and then motivated by knowledge or something. Most of them, they just convert, that's all. But then there should be more smarter Ayana in the future. So that I always think that my mission is to break the great ceiling, and then I just do whatever I can do for our ummah and also the society. I always try to be that kind of figure, but not yet. It takes time.
But that's very inspirational, Ayana, that you have that sense of breaking the glass ceiling, not just as a woman, but in this particular case as a Muslim woman in Korea.
I always think that it should be women. Because people always think that women is oppressed by religion and Islam, right? Especially in general. So I always think that it should be young female Muslim. So I always think that it should be me. But it's a matter of time. And also I always think that I'm not good enough yet. So I have to do more. I have to achieve more. I have to improve myself more. So maybe in the future, inshallah, but I don't think that it takes long time.
I think your personal story is a shining example of how this view that Islam oppresses women is completely untrue. I mean, you're independent, you're here building a name for yourself, you're doing what you want to do, and clearly very vocal about it. So,
but it's also your personality to be able to deal with the criticism, to deal with people trying to tell you how you should dress as a woman and dealing with it confidently. I think people can take inspiration from that.
Yeah. So maybe we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with the last segment about Ramadan reflections and something you want to share with us about how you've prepared for this holy month.
Welcome back to Kindred Stories with me, Sharel, Khairi, Jamaluddin, and Ayana Moon. Ayana, maybe this is our last section. We're speaking early on in Ramadan. You've gone through, I imagine, 7 or 8 Ramadans now?
Oh, no. It's been already, I think, 12 years.
12 years, I apologize. So 12 years since you reverted and 12 years since you've experienced Ramadan as a Muslim. Maybe talk about your journey every Ramadan, or as in, over time, how has your relationship with the month evolved, and specifically about this year, any personal reflections, any goals you have for this month to share with us and our audience?
Well, when I just converted to Islam, I was still in high school. So it was really hard to do fasting. So I gave up easily. And I was too young as well. And I had to follow that kind of, the schedule. High schoolers usually in South Korea are very busy. Because we had to study a lot. And then I had the goal to enter the best university in South Korea. That's why I couldn't. And also my friends always, test me. You want to eat or not? You want to drink or not? Like that in the classroom. So it was very hard. But then once I just came to Malaysia, actually it was my first Tarawih. Because when I was in Korea, actually there was no ustaz in Korea. So I didn't know that what Tarawih was. I just fast, but I didn't know about Tarawih at all. But when I just came to Malaysia, my friend Farah said that, I know, let's go to Tarawih. And I just Googled it. What is Tarawih? Oh, I have to pray even. I didn't know that. Yeah. And I did Tarawih. And after that, I was really following all the fasting and also Tarawih as well. But at that time, I was a bit nervous. I was worried that somehow I would make mistake and also whether I'm in the right way or not. And then even my fasting is sincere or not, because I feel like it's not actually for myself, but I just didn't eat because people ask. So I was more nervous. But then now it's been already more than 10 years. I feel like I'm more pro now. So now I'm exploring more study as well. Like currently people ask, Ayana, why you are so diam currently? You have to show more about your Ramadan. You have to share your Ramadan on social media. But actually I'm very busy studying Arabic, also study about Quran. And also currently I'm doing joint research with Datuk Osman Bakar as well. Yes. About Islam and Korea.
Wow.
So I'm really focusing on those kind of activities, but still relate to Islam.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeking knowledge, which is what we're trying to do at Kindred Stories. But more importantly, seeking knowledge about Islam in the month of Ramadan. Yeah. That's clearly an ibadah that, we should be all engaged in.
Ayana, maybe you can share with us, because I know for a fact that our viewership in Korea probably is close to zero. Okay. What is fasting like in Korea? So I know you were talking about fasting as a high school student or as a young student in Korea, but if for instance Sharel and I decide to spend Ramadan in Korea, what would it be like?
It should be very hard. Why? Because first of all, they will never understand your situation. I mean, you have to work during the working hour, and also they will eat at the office. They drink coffee, they eat snacks, so it should be very hard. I think it will be very challenging because even now, if I go to Korea, then it's a bit hard, especially during the Ramadan period.
Yeah, but I think but Koreans do know about Ramadan. Yeah? I mean,
They don't really know.
they don't really
Yes.
know. Okay, and how have you found fasting in this part of the world?
In this part of the world.
Yeah,
Means
Malaysia, Indonesia.
Indonesia.
it's really easy. I mean, like, everyone is doing puasa. I don't know whether they eat at home or not. But anyway, in front
There's
of
this thing
me,
called
yeah.
black plastic
Yes,
bags.
yes. In front of me, actually, they are doing puasa very well, and then they respect, and also, we even the school, the university, and also even job, they understand the situation, right? So it's really easy here.
Yeah. And have you also embraced the Malaysian traditions of fasting month, like going to the pasar, the market,
Yeah.
the Ramadan market,
Bazaar.
bazaar, buying your food before
Yes.
iftar and all
Yes.
that. Yeah, it's very much. Of course, there's a religious duty during Ramadan, but there's also a lot of cultural practices unique to different Muslim countries about Ramadan. I'm not quite sure. I mean, we studied in the UK, a lot of Muslims there, but there was never that sort of
No.
that environment of
I think it was very mosque centric. So if you wanted to feel that you had to go mosque, Whereas in Malaysia, sometimes KJ and I always say we take for granted as a Muslim majority nation. We take for granted how easy it is.
Yeah.
As you pointed out,
Yes.
everything is set up for you to fast easy.
So in fact, in 2 days, I'm about to go to Germany, to Munich. So I've had to prepare myself in my mind about how to continue to fast during the flight, because I don't want to put it off. Although as a traveling musafir, you're allowed to, but I want to try to observe it. And then once in Germany, what do I do? Where is the masjid, the nearest to the hotel? So we, like Sharel said, we take it for granted. That's why we love talking to somebody who comes from a Muslim minority country, or a country where Muslims are very small minority, because here there's a masjid or there's a surah
Yes.
just around the corner.
Yes.
But when you're in a country like Korea or Germany, for that matter, although in Germany, of course, there's a sizable number of minority Muslims, it's a bit more challenging. Yeah, so that's why we asked you about your experience. But Ayana, what about in terms of your spiritual commitment this month? So I think a lot of Muslims, when it comes to Ramadan, they have it's like New Year's resolution. Okay, for this Ramadan, I'm going to do this. So Sharel said to me, okay, for this year, he wants to learn more surah. And then for me, I told him, I said, I want to be not just observing the fast, but having a Ramadan mindset. A Ramadan mindset.
What is Ramadan mindset?
Ramadan mindset, forgiveness,
Whatever we do.
whatever we do, temper your anger, understand the sacrifice of what
Okay.
you're doing, seeing the best of things. So because I always find that if you don't have a mindset going into something, whether it is in sports, you have to have a winning mindset, winning mentality. So Ramadan, you have to have a Ramadan mentality. So that was mine. He's learning more surah. What was your spiritual goal this Ramadan?
Mine is like every Ramadan, I always do some charity activities. Like, for example, I always sponsor the food for the UIA students because like I found out that there are many B40 students there. And then, they even is for iftar and then they eat just once a day, but like the meal was not really good. So like I try to sponsor like more meals for students, and also of course about scholarship as well. And also I will try to do like a more charitable event in like the orphanage and so on. So I think always Ramadan, I just try to think that me when I didn't have money. So like I try to have more as much as I can. So that is also my biggest goal during this Ramadan. If I can do help people as much as I can, then I will do, inshallah.
I think just wrapping things up. What are your plans for the future? I mean, you've done so much, you've achieved so much, still a very young person, very inspirational. How do you see your next few years looking here and Korea?
I think I will go to UK first because
Okay.
I have to continue my study. And then still back and forth Malaysia, Indonesia, and Korea, doing my business as well. And then maybe, I think I still need to improve myself more and harder because, I actually still cannot find the good Korean Muslim companion yet who can fight with me together against the society. So I have to be the one who has to do all the things. And then I don't want to waste my time anymore to find the people who can fight together with me, because that doesn't work at all. So like I just decide, okay, I just focus on myself. I will be the good figure, which is educated, also like a financially stable and so on. Just and then with good akhlaq as well. So like I will maybe try to improve myself harder. And then one day I want to be one of the most influential Muslim figure, not only in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Korea, but in the world. That is the largest goal.
And the path towards that is financial sustainability. Path towards that is growing your business.
Yeah, inshallah.
That's great. It's great to hear. We wish you the best.
And I think that's a very powerful message, because we always talk about the need to balance dunya and akhirat in Islam. And I think a large part of the success in this dunya, which also helps Islam and the Muslim community, is economic success. I think many Muslim countries would be in a better place to help not just Muslims in their countries, but also the Ummah, if they were financially more powerful, more influential. And I think this is something that we sometimes feel embarrassed to talk about. But, clearly you are...
No, without money, you actually
this.
cannot do anything. I experienced, I was miskin, That's why I knew that you cannot do anything without money. And then it's also related to your confidence as well. So you have to be very financially stable to achieve your goals. That's why I have to be in business as well. And also the reason why I'm also into business is because, for example, in the future, I want to work in the political field. I want to give the advice to somebody. They will doubt in me. You don't have experience. Have you ever paid tax? Like when the young party comes out, all people are, have you ever paid tax? Right. So that's why like I always want to be ready to defend myself to what kind of ideas. That's why I have to be in this and that.
Maybe my last question before we wrap up, Ayana, just coming back to ambition and what you want to do in the future. You are clearly somebody who's very interested in politics. We started off the conversation about your family being involved in politics, about as a young person, as a child, you listen to stories from your parents, from your grandfather about politics. Now, let's take this 20 years in the future. Okay. Let's do an experiment. 20 years in the future, Ayana Jihye Moon goes back to Korea. You're this global Muslim personality, one of the most influential Muslim personalities in the world, because of your knowledge, because of what you've done, because of your service, because of your business. How do you think Korea then, and I know it's a bit of an unfair question, but how do you think Korea then will react to this Korean Muslim who wants to run for public office, who wants to be the mayor of Seoul, for instance?
I think that...
Or will you be, as you said just now, a Korean politician who has 3 religions, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism?
What I want to say is, I'm a very hot-tempered person. 20 years is too long. I think I can achieve all the things in 10 years.
Wow.
I don't even think that 20 years, 48 years old, it's too old already. I think I can do whatever I want. Sorry. But I always think that I can do whatever I want in 10 years, because what you see now, I have established by myself from zero. And that it was the most hardest time in my life. So that I always think that whatever happened in my life in the future, I can just beat it. So I think maybe 10 years, you can see the change.
And that within that 10 years, you are also confident that you can bring that change to Korea, to say that we're not going to discriminate against Ayana Jihye Moon just because she's Muslim.
It depends, but inshallah, I will do my best. But then anyway, people, I'm confident that anyway, I can open their eyes a bit more than this in 10 years. Inshallah.
Yeah. Wish you the best, and we'll speak to you again many times throughout this 10 years.
Yeah. And when you are the president of Korea, please don't forget us.
Don't forget us.
What a wonderful conversation with Ayana Jihye Moon. Thank you very much, Ayana, for coming on to Kindred Stories. Have a wonderful and peaceful and rewarding Ramadan wherever you are. I know you're rushing off to Jakarta, Indonesia after this, and all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you very much for listening once again to Kindred Stories with KJ and Sharel Hamdan, seeking knowledge and sowing kindness. We'll be back with another episode soon with another personality to have a conversation and share stories about how to become better Muslims.